Hi, this is Tony, and we're back on the bench. And this afternoon, we're going to be doing another reassembly video here on a Abu Garcia Cardinal 759BW ball bearing drive spinning reel. So this is a surf grade reel that I've taken apart, and I have a separate disassembly video on this service, and you can check that out on the YouTube channel. Okay, but basically what we've already done here is we've cleaned off the inside of our housing here, sprayed a little multi-purpose fluid in there, clean it out with a toothbrush and the help of some Q-tips. Now we're going to reassemble our drag stack and get that back into position. So we're going to start here with this green fiber washer. I'm just going to clean it off a little bit here, but we're gonna piece this reel back together, get it ready to get on out there, do some fishing. So this part here, you have to get it lined up just right. Get it to set down like so, like that. Okay, and then we're just going to go in sequence, and we're going to clean off all these pieces and parts once again here, like we normally would on any service. Put our clicker wheel back in, and then there's another fiber washer, another green fiber washer. But yeah, this reel is in immaculate condition. Beautiful, beautiful condition, this reel, given its age. I don't think it's ever been fished, actually. I would say it's practically in mint condition almost. So it's really makes it really easy to work on. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So then we've got the squared keyed washer here. Okay. Want to make sure you clean these off really well. So now we've got a series of other washers. We've got a Teflon washer here. And then a metal washer. Like so. Some people do not prefer rear drag systems, but you know, if you clean them and maintain them properly, you know, they'll last you a long time. And there are actually some advantages to using a rear drag stack, given that it doesn't get exposed to as much of the salt sprays that's associated with surf fishing and things like that as you would get on a top drag system. There's our other squared keyed washer. I was going to call it a square washer, but it's irregardless, it's a form of washer. Okay. So you can see what this is looking like here. We're building this stack here bit by bit, okay? And it has to go back exact, right? So just make sure that you take your time, make note of the orientation of all these pieces and parts, okay? Now we've got these other pieces and parts here, and I want to clean these off here just with a little bit of multi-purpose lube here. All right, and we're going to clean these as we go, because I want to get all that old residual grease and dirt off of these pieces here. So we've got a washer in place here that needs a little bit of attention. Okay. I'll clean the inside of this off here. Okay, and I'm actually going to take some 4-0 steel wool to this washer here. You can see it's kind of discolored, and you know, it's got some markings on it. So we want to have a nice clean surface to work with. Okay, you want your drag stack to work really well and perform well when you're fighting big game fish and stuff like that, which this reel is capable of doing given its size. So we want to make sure it can live up to that expectation for sure. Okay, but we're going to clean off this piece here real quick. In the disassembly video, I pretty much just do most of the disassembly. Every once in a while, I will do some cleaning and whatnot in the disassembly videos. That's not the case on this particular reel. I just wanted to get it taken apart. And so now we're going through all these cleaning steps, and we'll get into all the lube steps and whatnot as well. I'm just going to clean out the inside of this housing, but there's really not a lot to be done with this reel. It's really in great shape, which is a good thing to see for sure. So we're going to put these pieces back into position here, like so. Okay, and then we've got a spring that goes on top of that. Now here we've got this this set snap ring, if you will, and what needs to happen here is you have to put this part of the assembly back into position. Okay, and this is where it gets a little tricky because these washers have a tendency to kind of jump on you like they just did there for me a moment ago. Okay, but you gotta feed this back in slowly. Like so. Okay. And then what has to happen is this snap ring goes down here at the bottom, like that. Okay. And then you can back it off like this so that it rests up against that snap ring. Okay. But that's essentially all you need to do. Okay. In terms of the drag system on this reel. Okay, now we've got a clicker tongue here that needs to go back into position here. A little tiny set screw, okay, for this clicker tongue. All right, and that needs to go back on top here like so. There's a little tiny screwdriver for that. Give it a couple of turns like this. Okay, so it looks something like that, essentially. Okay, now we're ready to put our drag cap back into position. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that this is backed off as far as it'll go, and then you want to line this up with, I believe it's 0, yeah, on this reel here. It's hard to see. But you want to line that 0 up the best that you can. So what you really need to do here is you kind of have to press down on that clicker tongue as you're doing this. Just FYI. Because it needs to get trapped underneath the wheel here like that, so then that way you can turn and it snaps like so. But you want to line up that 0 here at the back base part of the reel here, and then you're going to put your screw back in like so. Give that a few turns like that. Snug that up. Okay, now everything else here is clean and ready to go. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to go through our bearings. So we've got our main ball bearing right here, and we've got our pinion gear assembly, and we just want to clean off these pieces and parts here really well, the best that we can. Okay. I like to always make sure I can service the ball bearings in any way possible. I have a separate video of that on the YouTube channel that you can watch on how to service ball bearings. Okay, we want to make sure we clean off the pinion gear really well. Once again, I can't emphasize enough how clean this reel already is, and so there's really not a lot of serious work to be done here per se. You know, it's a little dirty, but it's really not that dirty at all. So okay, we're gonna put our blue grease here on our pinion gear and pinion gear shaft, like so. Just dress that with a little bit of blue grease. That'll be good to go. Okay, and then we've got our bushing that goes on top here, like that. Now for our bearing, we're gonna take some Real X to that and flood that with some Real X oil. Okay, and then this actually doesn't face upward. It actually goes down like this, and there's a plate here on top, and that's to prevent corrosion and dirt and dust and grit from getting into the bearing, essentially. You know, so that's just the orientation of it, and that's how it works. Okay, so we're going to place this back into position like so. Okay, so that it works like that. Okay, nice operation there. Now we've got a snap ring to put back into place. You need a good pair of snap ring pliers to do this, okay? And all you need to do is make sure that you have the right ends on, which I had to dig into the collection of ends for this particular pair of pliers. Okay, and then sometimes you need the help of a little screwdriver to kind of tap these back into place. You hear a little snap right there, and you're good. Okay, so that's all you need to do there. Now we're ready to have a look at our rotor. Okay, beautiful condition, this rotor. There's just nothing wrong with it at all. Even the roller is rolling really nice and freely. Okay, and I have a separate video on that as well, on how to service your line roller, but we're going to do it right here real quick just for the purposes of being thorough with this. Okay, some line rollers just have bushings, which I believe is the case here, but others have ball bearings. Okay, but this is basically what it looks like. It looks like there's like this Teflon bushing kind of resting on this shaft right here, but all you really need to do is just clean off all these pieces and parts. Make note of the orientation of your line roller. Okay, take a little drop of oil, a little bit of real oil to that. Okay, put that back on like that. And then I'm also going to do just a bead right here on the threads just for good measure for that screw. Because remember, salt water destroys reels, okay? And so all these elements are exposed to that weathering and the salt sprays and you know, just all the elements that are associated with fishing. Okay, so you want to make sure that that you take care of that. Now I'm also going to take a little bit of real oil to my seams here where the oil will seep down into where the bail springs are on this reel. I just want that to work its way in really well. I'm also going to hit this just with a little bit of oil right there. Okay, so that's going to get exercised on that little clicker tongue right there. Okay, all right, so now we're ready to place this back into position on the reel. We've got our rotor nut. I'm going to place that back on. 14 millimeter nut on that. It's not a reverse thread, so don't overdo it, but just nice and snug. Okay, there's no set screw on this, make note. Okay, so now we're ready to get back into all the innards here basically, and we're just going to spray off all these pieces and parts here with a little bit of multi-purpose lube and just clean them up the best that we can, and then we're going to be good to go here. So we've got our drive shaft here first and foremost, nice and clean. We're just going to take that 4.0 steel wool to this real quick. Okay, nice and smooth, clean the way we need it to be. All right, and then we just want to clean off all these gear teeth basically on this main gear. Get all that old residual grease off of there the best that we can. Yeah, all these pieces are just in great shape though. There's just nothing wrong with this reel at all, really. It's very clean. It's a very smooth operator already on its own, so you know, we're just gonna piece it all back together essentially. Okay, so we're going to start with our crosswind gear. We're going to take some blue grease to this here, like so. This is Penn Precision blue grease. I know it's an Abu Garcia reel, but you know, whatever whatever greases and oils you choose to use, just make sure that they're made for fishing reels, okay? Don't use automotive grease. Don't use other products that are made for other applications. Okay, so we're going to place this crosswind gear back into position first, like so. I'm going to get these other pieces and parts kind of situated here. So we've got a crosswind block that we've cleaned. There's a channel under here that we've cleaned out. We're going to pack that with some fresh blue grease on that surface like that. Okay, we're going to place that back into position here. All right, and then at this point, it's really just about, you know, these last couple of pieces here, the main gear and the main drive shaft. We're gonna put some blue grease on this main drive line, like so. Okay, you don't want to overdo it, but you need enough, you know, like so, just a nice light coat. All right, we're gonna begin to place this into position, but we're not gonna put it all the way down just yet. Okay, we want to get grease on our main gear here, on our main gear teeth. Like so. Okay. Now we're ready to, we're going to place our main gear back in, and at the same time we're going to press down on the drive shaft here. It needs to be inserted all the way down into the drag stack though, so you might have to turn it like I just did right there. Okay, and then there's a point here where there's a couple of indentations, a couple of lines right here, and that indicates where this snap spring goes into place here on the drive line. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this better, but it goes on top like that, and then you should, in theory, just be able to press it down like that. It snaps into place. That's it. There's no screw or anything that you need to turn there, really. All right, we've got our main gear. I'm just going to take a little bit more blue grease to the top of this main gear drive line right here, just to cover that base. All right, there's a little tension washer that goes on top here. Okay, and then we've got our side plate. It's going to go back into position like so. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of multi-purpose lube to these really clean screws so that they stay clean. Protect those threads. But I also do have a tendency to use just basic reel oil for those threads as well. So we're going to put these back into position here, like that. Okay, so we're just going to attach our 3 screws like so. This reel is going to make a great addition to someone's surfing reel collection for sure. Just given its condition and the features that it possesses. You know, it's always nice just having a nice smooth ball bearing system, you know, when you're working in the surf and whatnot. It's a vintage model, of course, but in great shape. Okay. Just going to clean off some of this old residual grease that might be built up on here. Then we've got our spool. It's nice and clean. And then we're just going to clean off our handle. We're going to take a little bit of blue grease here to the handle shaft, like so. Place that back into position. Just going to hit a little bead of real oil right here at this pivot point right there. Okay, I'm actually doing a little bead of oil right here on this thread. Okay. Make sure that everything's functioning right on this. It's a really, really nice smooth operator. Anti-reverse is working great. And the drag is really nice and smooth. Crank that up a little bit more. Get a lot of nice smooth drag power out of that for sure. Always make sure that you loosen up your drags when you're not fishing though. Okay, and that way they don't collect memory. So okay, so there you have it. That is the Abu Garcia Cardinal 759BW ball bearing spinning reel, all serviced up and ready to go. So thanks again for watching. This is Tony with Back on the Bench. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe and make sure you hit that notification button. And we'll see you next time.